Hey,
Hello.
how's it going?
We were gonna sing a song to start, but we
still
couldn't
can.
decide what.
S Club.
There ain't no party like an S Club party.
Gonna show you how.
If you stuck around through that, you are a brave soul.
We're in the gym recording, so if you hear some loud bangs, it's because people are dropping weights all over the place.
Please ignore. So we're talking about home births today. It's been a hot topic on the
It totally
gram
has.
this
It
week.
has.
Yeah.
I think because one of our last clients, Britt Havens, gave us a shout out, and she just had a home birth with her fourth. So a lot of people are wondering about that. Also, we're still not allowed back in hospitals to
Thanks,
attend
COVID.
births. Yeah, COVID since March. So, yeah, if people want doula support, then one of their main options is to have a home birth or to have virtual support.
So our first question, really, that we were gonna ask is, why would you choose a home birth?
Mm-hmm.
That's one reason there, so you can have your doula there, selfishly.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So we can be there. We
Yeah.
want to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why would you choose a home birth? So I was thinking about this on the way here today, and I was wondering if it's a bit like you can go to a pizza place and order a salad, and absolutely you can get a salad. But probably you're gonna have a better experience if you go to a salad place. So what I mean by that is when you have a home birth, you are setting yourself up in your own space. So neurologically, you are comfortable and safe there. You have dim lights. It's quiet.
Your music.
Your music. It's
Yeah.
the best
Your
space.
food.
Yeah, where you can navigate and prowl and relax and dilate and take a rest, have a bath, have a nap. No beeping, no hospital lights, no hospital smells.
Nobody
And
else's time constraints.
it's just an environment that physiologically, hormonally, I think is really conducive to a nice pace of birth where you can, use your own stairs, be in your bed, all the things, right?
Oh, I've walked those parking garage stairs at the hospital way too many times. They smell like urine.
And the concrete.
Yeah,
Like that's
it's not
aggressive,
comfortable.
right? You're like hanging off of the
Gross
railing.
hand railing.
Yeah, and
No.
you're like, oh man.
This was pre-sanitizer
So-
everywhere too. Not a
Someone
good
walks
situation.
by and you're like,
Hello.
hi. Yeah, it's not great. So in that sense, I guess people choose a home birth because they want to be in their own environment. It feels good. It feels safe.
They want to avoid interventions. If you're wanting to avoid having an epidural, you set yourself up for success by staying at home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even with our hospital births, that is one of the things that we do is try and keep people home as long as possible, so that you're not getting to the hospital and wearing yourself out and then, leading yourself into interventions, because interventions lead to more interventions.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us into our own stories, really. Something interesting about us is that both of us have had a hospital birth and a home birth. So that's cool. My first birth, I ended up being 10 centimeters in the car on the way to the hospital and had my daughter 20 minutes after getting to the hospital. So planning for the second one, I told my husband I would actually not agree to have a second baby until he agreed to the home birth because I didn't want to be pushing in the car again. So my second birth was at home and it was amazing, and we ate my favorite pizza from Maggio's and watched the OC, and everybody just hung out on the couch, and then we went to the bedroom and I had a baby and it was great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
My first, I was planning a home birth, and then found out that they were twins. So my one baby home birth became a twins hospital birth.
You are not a great candidate for a home birth if you're having twins.
No, you're
No.
not. You're not. I mean, if you live in the U.S., you can do it. Here, no one will legally support you at home to have a home birth. So after the twins hospital birth, it kind of reaffirmed to me even more that I wanted a home birth. And I think in between both of your kids, you did the doula course.
Yeah.
And in between mine too, I did the doula course.
Yeah.
So it just even solidified it even more. So then Jacob, my 6-year-old, was a home birth. And same thing, like we were carving pumpkins in the backyard. I was kind of just prowling around the backyard a little bit. And then we're like, maybe we should wrap this up. Went inside, had a tub in the kitchen. I never even used the bed upstairs, and had a baby 3 hours later. So
Very similar.
that was that. Yeah.
So that's our stories. Now we will get to your questions.
Yeah, you guys had a lot of great questions.
A lot were similar, so that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the questions was, is your midwife a guarantee? So I'm not sure totally, we can answer this question in two ways. If you are signed on with a midwifery clinic in London, then yes, you are guaranteed a midwife. But just like with an OB, you're not necessarily guaranteed the midwife that you've met with. However, like, so with OBs, it's a high chance that you won't get your OB.
Yeah.
With a midwife, it is definitely higher.
Yeah.
And you will, 95% of the time,
You meet
met
two or three midwives of the practice, so that it won't be a complete stranger showing up to your house.
So you'll have met, it'll be your secondary, and I think one of the clinics in London, you actually meet a team of 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, I think that answers that.
Question number 2, what if you change your mind?
I love this question. So I wish someone had said to me the first time that I could just stay at home until I wasn't comfortable there anymore. I could have just stayed home until I got scared or worried, or it was 2 days and I needed an epidural. I wish someone had said, you can pull the plug on your home birth at any moment and just say, let's wrap this up and go to the hospital and I'm done. You can. It's
you
amazing.
can. The last client, she had the same idea, like light bulb moment. Where I said to her, like, "Hey, we don't lock the door on you." And she was like, "Oh yeah, like you can literally always change your mind. It's totally fine. Your midwives will get in their car, you'll get in your car, and depending what we're doing, we'll get in your car with you.
Sometimes, yep, that was my most recent one. Hip squeezes in the back of the truck.
Or we're following you to the hospital, and that's, I mean." During COVID, we would then stay in the parking lot and probably be on the phone with you, but, you know, in better times, we would go in with you to the hospital. So, next one, who cleans up? So, I mean, at my home birth, there really wasn't a lot to clean up. There was the tub to drain, which my husband did with a 5-gallon pail down the sink. Your placenta, midwives can't take with you. So like at the hospital where they're like, cool, here's a placenta, bye, and then they'll take it and deal with it. You have to keep it. So most people freeze it and then either throw it in the garbage. It doesn't.
Most people, it's still in their freezer.
I know, right? I was talking to someone recently and they're just like, just put it beside the other 2.
Yeah.
I was like, you have 3 placentas in your freezer now. Like,
you probably have friends who have placentas in their freezers or umbilical cords, something. There's some sort of baby organ in there.
There will be blood on some things.
Yeah.
Your midwives will probably tell you put a cup of salt in with the wash or some hydrogen peroxide. If you get any like drips on the carpet, that comes out.
Yep.
But really, as a laboring person, you're not doing the cleaning.
You don't
anyway.
clean up.
No cleaning.
No.
So that'll either be midwives, us, or your partner, right? So
I didn't have a
give them
birth
something to do.
tub. So there's a way you set up the bed. This comes with your instructions when you sign up for a home birth, but you basically do like fitted sheet, shower curtain, fitted sheet, shitty fitted sheets. Not nice ones, not your best linens.
No.
Crappy linens. And then when you're finished, they just gone in a garbage bag, goodbye. It can just go in the trash.
And in that write-up that the midwives will give you, they'll tell you they want 2 setups, like 2 garbage bags, and one's a laundry bag and one's a garbage bag.
Very organized.
And totally, you just decide at what point, like, I didn't love that towel anyway. A lot of people end up having way more than's ever needed.
Totally.
Like, they have all kinds of face cloths and ripped up towels. And
also, for those of you who haven't had a baby yet, it's not as messy as you think it is.
That's true.
It really, and the hospital usually, I think, appears more messy than a home birth.
Yeah, that's true.
Someone's trying to come in the room.
We're busy recording an IGTV. So there's also those blue pads that you can buy, and those often get put like on the bed, on the ground, and those can just get thrown out, right? So those absorb a lot.
Yeah. Okay, proximity to the hospital. Does this matter? Yes, somewhat. It does matter. But it's really something you need to discuss with your midwife about where the closest hospital is, what that hospital offers. I don't think it's a make or break situation. You could be further from the hospital and be more comfortable if it's your second birth and you know you've successfully had a vaginal birth with your first, and now you are deciding to try it at home. It just might change the way you think about those pink flags that we'll talk about, warning signs that you might want to be at the hospital differently depending on your distance. But I mean, 15 minutes from the hospital can be quite different in a snowstorm.
It's true.
Or time of day. I know when I was 10 centimeters in the car pushing, it was rush hour.
Right.
And we got stuck behind a train.
Yeah, that's not good.
But I still didn't have my baby in the car.
No, it's true. I would say for my husband, the things he wanted to know, about feeling good choosing a home birth was like, what are the risks? What are the odds of something going wrong? and he wanted to know that too. Like we are super close to the hospital, but he wanted to know like what does that look like? And one of the things our midwife said to us at the time is, if we're making the decision to transfer or go to the hospital, we're on the phone with the hospital and letting them know they're getting ready, which is actually the same as if you are in a hospital room and you're now deciding it's emergency and you need something else. They still are taking time to call the OBs to get the anesthesiast in place, to
operating room ready or whatever.
Yeah, to get everyone gowned up.
Yeah.
So there's a transition time for either situation. One, you're just driving while that's happening. The other one,
you're just waiting in your room,
getting ready. Yeah. So, you know, things like, and these are things your midwife can go over with you too, like, my husband felt comfortable knowing, you know, what happens if this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, what if the cords prolapse? What if the cords are around their neck? What happens if they're not breathing when they come out? Do you want to talk about pink flags, red flags right now?
Sure. So when we chose to have a home birth, my husband was also the hesitant one, because I had done my doula training. So easy for me to say I'm confident in having a baby at home. Not so easy for him. He's also a volunteer firefighter with my cousin and my uncle, because we live in a small town. So my husband's biggest fear was that my relatives were all going to come pouring in the door and I was going to be wide-legged having a baby.
Yeah, awesome.
So we did a course with the midwife's office where we talked about home birth, and they mentioned pink flags, which makes everybody feel better. So the midwife is always looking for little tiny warning signs that the hospital may be a better place for you during this birth. Those pink flags can be meconium in the water if your water breaks, little decelerations that are looking a little bit wonky with the baby's heart rate, fever. I'm trying to think of any other ones. Those are the most common.
Yeah.
The other reasons to transfer would be usually for pain relief.
High blood pressure.
High blood pressure.
Yeah. Certain kinds of like thunking when the water breaks. Anyway, they have a pile of other things they're looking for, but the idea being that red flags often don't just present immediately. You're not usually laboring comfortably and everything's going great, and then all of a sudden we're like, we got to go to the hospital now. Often there are pink flags that are showing up.
Yeah, there's time to make a decision.
A couple decelerations in heart rate. That's where you can say, you know what, it doesn't seem like baby's real happy here. We're going to try a few things. So I guess the other thing I wanted to say is your midwife shows up to your house with everything that a level 1 hospital has.
So for us in London, that would be comparable to Exeter, Stratford, Woodstock, Strathroy. I could be wrong on maybe one of those, but most of those are level 1 hospitals.
Right, so everything they bring with them in terms of resuscitation, oxygen, the meds.
Oxytocin for your bleeding.
Yeah, like that's the same stuff you'd have in the hospital. So to me that made me feel super safe, right? Like I am not a high-risk woman going into labor in the first place, so it's unlikely that I'm going to need the expertise of a 15-year experienced OB. OBs are amazing miracle workers. They are there for the high-risk births, right? They are going to save your 24-week fetus. They are, and so there's, but they are not what you need for the, physiological, super simple, healthy births, right?
Yeah. Actually, in some European countries, with your low-risk pregnancy, you automatically get a midwife. That's just the standard of care. If you are a low-risk person having a low-risk pregnancy, you get a midwife.
That's right. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Do you have to have a birth tub?
No, you do not. I am one of those people who has really fast labors, so I'm Dutch and don't love to spend unnecessary money, and unless
it's an airy.
Unless it's an airy. That's always necessary, but I didn't think that we would be able to figure out when to blow up the tub, get it filled up, and get me in it in the time before I would have a baby.
Totally.
And we would never have had time.
Yeah.
So early labor, I spent some time in our own tub, which fills up approximately to like 2 inches below my knees.
Amazing.
But it was fine.
Yeah.
So not everybody needs a birth tub. You can use your own bathtub. You can use your shower.
Yeah. I had a client last year who had the birth tub, but fast like you, and ended up having her baby in her own birth tub. you know, when you watch any birth videos where women are giving birth, especially standing up, their legs are really not wide, right? Like a neutral pelvis is often the best, most open way for a baby to come out. So this idea that you need to have a super wide tub, it's more about depth. So for my home birth, I did have a tub in the kitchen. You know, it can have deeper water. And I was kind of like pushing my hips up when I gave birth, so it was a good idea to have that depth of water. But similarly, like I was like, I knew that you don't usually stay in for more than 90 minutes at a time, and so I had thought, before I got in, I'm like, should I be getting in?
How do you decide when to get in?
Yeah. They're like, no, you can try it. Got in, and it was like,
it's another great reason to hire a doula is we help you work through that decision of when to get in and when to fill it up.
It's true.
Setting up your space was another question that we had. That's something that your midwife will go over with you. They do a in-home visit before your home birth to assess the space. If you're having a tub, they'll help you decide where the best place to put that tub is. This is also something doulas can help with too. We can come over and kind of look at your house, your room, and decide what's best. Basically, you need some surfaces for the midwives to put their equipment. I really love, if you're having a birth tub, to also have a mattress on the same floor. So then close by you have like a bed situation and a tub situation. I've been to home births in apartments.
Yeah. I've been
and
to
in
home
massive
birth where
houses. And
we wanted stairs and there was literally no stairs.
Yeah.
Like there was no basement and there was 2 stairs outside. So we used those up and down for like curb stuff. But like, yeah, we really can make it work in a lot of spaces.
Okay. And then as for like your space, you can have whatever lighting you want. You can set up Christmas lights if you want.
Yeah.
You can diffuse the oils you want. You can have candles. The world is your oyster.
Totally.
It's so fun.
We asked this question on our Facebook group a while ago, like if you could plan your ideal birth. And it's something we often think about the opposite. We think what we don't want. You know, I don't want a C-section, or I don't want an epidural, or I don't want oxytocin, I don't want an episiotomy. I want, but then just to reframe and say, what do you want? You know, I want to feel loved. I want to be touched. I want to be held. I want to be left alone. I want nice music.
I want to smell wild orange and patchouli.
Okay. But like to make that list is so amazing, and it really changes the frame of mind when you start thinking about what you do.
The last home birth I was at, all that the dad wanted was mac and cheese after the baby was born.
Who cares what dad wants? What?
I was excited for the mac and cheese.
Did you just have a baby? I said no. So you clean the tub.
Well, you eat your mac and cheese.
I'm not nice. Okay, so last question, I think. What makes you a great candidate for a home birth?
I'll find it on our list. We wrote down a nice little point form. Okay, what makes you a great home birth candidate? 1, you feel safe at your home.
Yeah.
Safer at your home than at the hospital.
Yeah.
Home birth, hospital birth are equally safe statistically to have your baby at home or at the hospital.
So some people do feel like a sense of relaxation when they walk in the hospital. They feel held. For me, that was a place that was more threatening because I felt like people there are going to offer me an epidural. They're going to want to medicalize my birth. So really kind of ask yourself, and I mean subconsciously there's even things you don't even think about, right? Like the uniforms, the masks, the smells, the lights that are going to make you, you're neurologically, you're kind of like, oh, you're a little bit out of your rest and digest and into that fight or flight. Yeah. And we want to be in that parasympathetic nervous system in labor.
That kind of touches on the second point. If you don't plan to have interventions, if you are a 10 out of 10, I do not want to have an epidural, then home really, really is the most supportive place for you.
It's not an option. Yeah. So when you hit that transition where you're just like, I can't do this, I don't want to do it, not today, I'm leaving, like I can't do it anymore, then, you know, by the time you would even have got in the car and got to the hospital, you're probably in a spot where you're starting to push anyway. So then you've got through those hardest challenges where an epidural is not even an option. So that really means that you really had to have wanted one if you're going to choose to transfer in to get one.
Yeah. If you are confident in birth and your body. So you really, really need to believe that home is safe for you and that you can confidently have your baby in your home. And that you don't need interventions or the hospital's help.
And if you're not there yet and you're early in your pregnancy and you want to get there,
we can help you get there.
Yeah, definitely talk to us. We've got courses, we've got podcasts, we've got books for you to read. You can definitely get there.
Yeah. And you want to move freely in comfortable situations and surroundings. you own your home and you can do whatever you want when you're there. It's incredibly different. In the hospital, right now, I don't even think you can walk the hallways if you need to walk in early labor. Yeah.
It's a lot to contend with.
It is.
So the one thing we don't have mentioned here, though, is, medically what makes you a great candidate for a home birth. And that's a conversation that you're likely going to have with your midwife. So they're going to take a few things into consideration to determine, health and risks. And are you high risk, are you low risk? And, maybe even have set up a consult with an OB to decide, are we good? And so a lot of times the thing that's great with midwifery care is they can do an OB consult and then take you, you're still in their care.
Yeah.
And then even it'd be higher risk for them to be a transfer of care and then but then even if you are, then you're back in midwifery care after, which is really nice for them to visit you at home and help you with your
get
baby.
the best of both worlds. The last thing that we are going to cover, if we can cover it quickly, VBACs.
Yeah,
so many questions
about
VBACs.
VBAC. So that means vaginal birth after cesarean. So where do we start?
So VBACs. Let's see. Can you have a VBAC at home?
You absolutely can.
Yes.
So the midwifery
Governing body.
Yeah, they say in their stuff that a previous cesarean is not a reason to not have a home birth.
Yeah.
However, there are some things they want to see in place. So ideally 2 years between your cesarean and your
next birth.
And your home birth, if that's the plan. So the reason they're looking for that is because there is scar tissue in your uterine lining, and there is a super rare chance that you could have a uterine rupture. So that's why they're asking for that 2 years in between. And there are some midwives who will attend and others who don't.
Yeah.
So that's something, if you are considering a home birth, to ask
check with your
early
midwife
on.
practice. Like when you inquire.
Yeah.
If you are somebody who, when you're inquiring, and obviously it's your second, third birth, you ask the clinic that you're applying to right away, would you support a VBAC home birth?
Yeah, and they'll let you know.
Yeah. There are some increased risks, but they're minimal.
And back to those pink flags.
Yeah.
Your midwife is likely going to be more looking
Hyper aware
of looking for the pink flags.
Yeah.
And maybe is going to call it sooner to say
erring more on the side of caution with a VBAC.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that was the quick answer for VBACs. There's definitely a lot more we could say about VBACs. We may have to.
And if that's you, then maybe get in touch and we can have a conversation.
Totally.
Hopefully,
we
that
write
answered.
a blog post.
I hate writing blogs. Can I do like a recorded blog? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's a podcast.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna do that soon.
One day.
Coming soon.
Stay tuned. So thanks for listening. We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.